Hello everybody. This, by the looks of it, seems to be the last part of our tutorial. So yeah, that has really gone by rather quickly, for me at least. And with this last video, I want to touch upon some things that I might not have mentioned so far, as well as give you some tips and tricks of where you could go next from here, should you be interested in making more music and maybe improving what you have now. So yeah, I intended this series to be as beginner-friendly as I possibly can be. I didn't want to dive deep into any complex music theory or music production techniques, but first and foremost, it was really important to me that I give you some very actionable tips that you can, follow along right away without hours of extensive practice, and by the end of it, you still end up with something that sounds good and that you can be proud of. I am well aware that the end result of this tutorial might sound very basic to some of you, but I purposefully steered away from using the most complex sounds, the most expensive instruments, or whatever else promotes a standard of music that for many beginners is simply not attainable. I wanted to give a very realistic view of what people can probably expect from their first song, and I hope I succeeded in that. And I think if you want to go further, if you want to improve and make it sound better, I think this really is a great starting point to evolve your musical expertise. For me, one of the core challenges that I wanted to tackle in this whole tutorial series is just the finishing of a song. But now that you have done this successfully, it is really the perfect time where you can have a look at a lot of other videos on YouTube, for example, for how to write a great melody, how to write beautiful chord progressions, and great transitions and whatnot. YouTube really is a great place where people share their knowledge for free, basically. And I think a lot of this knowledge opens up to you now that you have finished your first song. You can slowly but surely start to implement some of the more advanced concepts as you go along with your next song, for example, or even with this song. But just promise me that you don't forget how to actually finish your music first. Don't get lost in all these little tips and tricks that you can use. Just remember, finishing your music should probably be your utmost priority. I have gone through the effort of preparing this wonderful presentation for you. Wait, now that I think about it, I think there's one more thing that we can do to make this even more appealing to the viewer. Yes, perfect. So yeah, I have composed this list here of some of the most important tips for creating your music, and most importantly for finishing some of your music, that I want you to keep in mind. And they have no particular order of importance, so I just will start from the top. The first thing I want to talk about is compose with intention. And what I mean by that is it's best if you know what you want to achieve with your music and where you want to go to next. So try to put into words what your goals are. It's way easier to reach these goals if they are clearly defined. Okay. The second one would be, if you're stuck on a certain part, just move on or take a break. There's always something else that you can work on, probably, always. So I don't mean move on to the next song and leave this one to rot. I mean, if you're stuck on the melody part, for example, move on to the chord progression for your B section, for example, and then come back to it. Or you can also just simply give yourself a break, but don't try to force anything. Because this one also kind of leads nicely to the third point, which would be that just be aware that everything can change and from my experience will most likely change all of the time. So don't cling to your own ideas at any cost, if they simply don't work with the rest of the music. I mean, you can always save your ideas, but if there's a melody that you really like, but it simply doesn't fit with the music, just save it somewhere if you can, and do something else with it. Always, it has to work with the rest of the song. It has to work in context. So don't cling to your ideas, because at any stage of the composition phase or the production phase, your ideas might change, and then you're only doing harm if you are too strongly attached to them. So the next one would be to don't split your attention too much when you're composing. I think a good tip is to approach music in different stages. So when you are composing, you are composing. When you are arranging the music, you are arranging the music. And when you're mixing, you're mixing. So try to stick to these phases as best as you can, because trying to do everything at once is a very stressful way of working. I mean, of course, you can switch between these stages should you have any idea of what you want to change, because, to be honest, musical ideas, they can be very elusive, if that's the right word, so they can fade away quite quickly. So it's best to, if you have an idea of what you want to change, for example, during the mixing, you want to change something in the melody that you've heard all of a sudden, then please go ahead and do so. But it goes back to point one, is if you do it with intention. You should know when you switch, you should know why you have switched and how to go back as fast as you can to the actual stage that you're currently in. So if you just want to, during composing, just want to turn down the volume of a track really quickly, then please go ahead and do so, if it makes the composing part easier. Just don't, switch your attention constantly. So for the next one, we have copy what other composers are doing. So listen to other songs that you like and simply copy some elements, like, for example, the instrumentation, the chord progression, the structure, and so on and so forth. And then just focus on doing a few things differently. For example, the drumming part, or the melody, for example. Because I do it all the time. And there's just way less decisions that you have to make. And simultaneously, you will have a lot more direction in your music, and you will learn about why some of the songs that you really like, why they sound great. So, you don't have to be original all the time and think of every new song as being your next masterpiece. It's okay to copy and to take inspiration from others. And the last one that I want to give you is to break rules and to break habits. Because it's very good if you understand why some of these rules are useful, but sometimes you also want to break out of a habit and just have fun with experimenting and seeing how things evolve naturally. Maybe sometimes you don't want to compose with intention. You just want to hit some keys and see what happens, and let inspiration find you that way. So if you're feel like you're stuck with the way you've been doing things all the time, just try to break some rules. But you should also be aware of why these rules are helpful in the first place. Yep, that is it with my tips for you. And now I would say we can end this in a truly classic fashion with the thanks for your attention slide. I really do appreciate everyone that has made it through to the end, that liked the videos and commented, and I'm really very, very grateful. And I would actually love to see some of the results if you want to show them to me. Just let me know where I can find them, and I would love to check them out. But yeah, that's it. So thank you one more time that you have been here. I will try to continue videos in a similar fashion, but they will probably be independent of the series. So simply because in some topics I cannot reasonably make an entire video that consist of beginner-friendly tips and very actionable tips. So sound selection, for example, or effects processing and stuff like this. So even for me, that requires a lot of experimentation and practice. So I'm very sorry if some of these topics have not been mentioned in this tutorial. As I said, I might do some independent video about them, but for this tutorial, I think they were simply out of place, especially considering what the target audience. But okay, enough of that. This is really it now. Thank you for watching one more time, and I will give it a final bye-bye in 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.